everyone, and welcome to this important discussion. As she rightly said, I'm Israel Bionyi, and I work for the Internet Society. This discussion today is about how we can build an open and globally connected Internet in difficult times. Um, and so let's dive right in and begin the discussion. We all know, as previous speakers mentioned, COVID-19 had a great impact on Africa. Businesses, work, and entertainment moved online, as David rightly mentioned. This led to an unprecedented surge in global internet use. The Africa Internet Exchange Point Association reported an increase from 1,000 Gbps in January to 1,500 gigabytes per second in December. This led to an unprecedented boom in e-commerce. We saw the African Union announcing that it is going to create its digital transformation strategy, promising to create a digital common market. Um, and we equally, together with the African Union Commission and the Internet Telecommunications Union, we organized a series of discussions on Africa's internet resilience to keep networks up and running. These discussions explored solutions ranging from spectrum strategies to complementary access models and fiber optic backbone infrastructure. During these discussions, we were constantly reminded that just 1 in 3 Africans can access the internet. And with Africa's internet economy projected to provide roughly 180 million US dollars by 2025, we're forced to ask, how can we bring the internet to the unconnected? How can we ensure that everyone is involved? At the Internet Society, our vision is that the internet is for everyone. We work towards reaching that vision by building and promoting and defending a bigger and stronger internet. We want to make the internet stronger, we want to grow the internet, and we want to work with people, a collaborative effort with communities and individuals who are passionate about the internet to ensure that this happens. At the start of 2020, the Internet Society reaffirmed its goals for an internet that is open, globally connected, secure, and trustworthy. In the service of these goals, as David mentioned, we committed our plan and informed it with preferences from our membership. As you can see in this graph, these are what our members prefer. These are the greatest preference, starting with the community networks, infrastructure and community development, internet way of networking, measuring the internet, encryption, routing, security, and preserving the open internet. And these are areas where we have formed projects around. And let me just take you through how we try to do this. Under the growing the internet wing of the Internet Society, we have 3 projects, mainly the Community Networks Project, the Infrastructure and Community Development Project, and the Measuring the Internet Project. So in 2017, under the Community Networks Project, we ran a survey in 2016-2017, which revealed that there were 37 community networks in the continent. Maybe that number is even less because we work with communities that are very remote and very hard to reach. And given the COVID-19 situation, it is now becoming very, very difficult for community networks to get constant support and to be up and running as they used to be in normal times. Let me just take you through a couple of examples of community networks we work with. In COVID times, we're proud to, on the 14th of May, launch the Morambinda Community Network. This community network is found in the Buhera district, located some 100 kilometers from the nearest large city in Zimbabwe. We support these community networks with technical support, supporting them with the necessary tools they need to build their infrastructure and to ensure that they can make the best use of the internet. The next is the Zanzaleni community networks in South Africa. We provided them through a COVID-19 funding, a special COVID-19 funding we set up in 2020. We provided them with this fund to install Wi-Fi hotspots in local hospitals, improving access to information and healthcare. The same thing was done with the Fanswam community network, the oldest community network in Africa, to help students, but also help workers get access to internet and fight the pandemic. And the last two are the Tunapanda community network in Kenya. And in 2020, it was another year that the community network received the funding to respond to the local network and connect more people, more specifically students. Then in Uganda, we work with Bosco Uganda, a local nonprofit that was created in 2007 to improve connectivity in Uganda. And still, we provided them with this support. We are also promoting community networks via our trainings or our events, and we work with local partners. One of the critical events that we've been supporting since last year is the virtual summit on community networks in Africa, where we bring different community networks and interest groups to discuss and share best practices and tools on how to really build community networks in this unprecedented time. The next project I want to talk about is the infrastructure and community development project. In Africa, what we do is with this project is that we work with communities that build the internet, and we try to develop your skills by providing technical support. As David mentioned in his speech, last year we worked with 12 internet exchange points to support them to keep their internet exchange points running. Internet exchange points are quite important for connectivity in the continent. They help to reduce latency and ensure that more people can get the internet where they can. They also help to reduce costs and improve on the experience we have. And so we do this. We provide them this technical support, but we equally build their capacity. We work with network operator groups, like the people within this group now, and national research and education networks, where we offer them access to our online and self-moderated courses. In 2020, one of our partners in this domain, the Kenya National Research and Education Network, used the course to train young engineers, but equally to train Kenya medical training colleges and technical and vocational training institutions who played a major role during the pandemic. Our efforts in training sometimes are complemented by our knowledge sharing efforts. And knowledge sharing happens during regional, national, and international forums. We we have our famous um, Peering and Interconnection Forum, Africa Peering and Interconnection Forum, that we've been supporting for years and years, um, over a decade of that. But during the pandemic, we couldn't hold it last year, and so we reimagined ourselves and created a virtual peering series where we bring in experts from Africa, but equally from across the globe, to share experience and expertise on how to build internet exchange points. Discussions from around there inspired internet exchange points, gave them opportunities to connect with each other. And since last year, we've been trying to see how we can support regional peering forums. We started with we supported the Central Africa Peering Forum, and we equally went beyond that to national peering forums. In December 2020, we supported the GRC, the first peering forum happening in a country, which we were supporting the GRC peering forum. Um, the next thing we do is the measuring the internet. And so we all know that a trustworthy internet is important for the health of the internet, but equally for what we do. But without data, you can't really solidify what you do. So in 2020, we launched this platform called Pulse. It is a platform that helps us to curate and data from trusted sources and to gain deeper insights around the internet. It helps us know whether these efforts we're doing are really, really important. The Pulse platform is available for everyone, including network operator groups, researchers, journalists, and civil society groups. Even you here can participate in helping us collect this data that will help us improve on how we serve the internet. Our work in the region includes tracking internet shutdowns. Shutdowns this year happened in Congo Brazzaville, Niger, Uganda. In 2020, there was in Cameroon, Ethiopia, Tanzania, Guinea, Sudan, and Algeria. Quite a number of shutdowns happening in Africa. We equally in Africa we have this small project called the Measuring the Internet Resilience in Africa project, MIRA project. You can have an overview through the Pulse platform, and through that project we are measuring internet use in a number of countries. We have ports installed already in Cameroon, Kenya, Rwanda, and Mauritius. Internet Society chapters in Benin, Ethiopia, Madagascar, and Tunisia also help us to collect this data. Hopefully, we can publish it sometime soon, but equally, hopefully, you can help us collect more data that we can share. This data will be available for everyone, and we'll announce this. We'll publish once we announce it. We'll ensure that everyone knows what is there. The next item is strengthening the internet. Under the strengthening the internet wing, we focus on encryption, internet way of networking, open standards everywhere, mutually agreed norms for routing security, and time security. So what do we do what do we do with the internet way of networking? We all know that the internet way of networking is important. We consider that our actions could harm the internet. We risk breaking the underlying foundations that makes it work. So we advocate for the internet way of networking by promoting a strong a resilient and a place for opportunities. We provide a network of networks. We train others about critical properties of the Internet Way of Networking, and we promote the use of our impact assessment toolkit, which we launched. It helps policymakers understand how they can better the internet within their countries. Internet encryption. The internet is under threat, as we all heard in the morning, and I believe encryption is a way to undermine the threat and keep the internet safer and keep it trustworthy. So we try to in this year we're trying to address these threats by mitigating by working with we try to mitigate government attacks on encryption. We try to increase the adoption of end-to-end encryption. We're rallying more people behind the Global Encryption Coalition we launched last year. I will not talk more about this point because the last speaker and David mentioned more about it. The securing global internet routing through the MANAS approach. I'm not going to talk about it very much because the last speaker has expanded more on what we do. But just to give you some highlights on what we do, some of the programs that we run in there. This is the network operators program, which will interest you. And what we do here is we do filtering, anti-spoofing, coordination, and global validation. And we try to prevent the propagation of incorrect routing information, preventing traffic with spoofed source IP addresses, facilitate global operational communication and coordination between networks, facilitate validation of routing information on a global scale. The next is the MANAS ISP program. This was launched in 2018, and we have a number of actions, about 5. The first 2 are mandatory, but the rest are not. The actions to prevent the propagation of incorrect routing information, promote MANAS through IXP membership, protect peering platform, facilitate global operational communication and coordination, provide monitoring and debugging tools to members. Since to ensure that we save time, I'm just going to move to the next thing we do, which is preserving an open internet model. Open standards are critical for development of the internet, and so we try to promote open standards by taking a proactive approach to the world of telecommunications standardization assembly. We advocate for greater openness, transparency, and collaboration. We get our key messages out to the communities and partners, and so we like to empower people to take action by building their capacity. Because of the interest of time, I'm just gonna stop here and see if there are questions to answer. But I will leave my presentation to the moderator. If you need questions, please, if you have questions, just ask, or you can go through it.
Thank you so much, Israel. That was quite interesting. And yes, we do have some questions. We've got a question from Dr. Nyoh, and he says, what kind of response initiative can we have to shutdowns, which is becoming prevalent in the region, about 6 in a year?
Yeah, the internet shutdown is something we are monitoring quite closely. what we do at the moment is advocating for solutions that will not lead to the punishment of the many. And so we work with governments to ensure that the internet is secure, that they cannot shut it down for purposes of just purposes that do not benefit the majority. So we try to present them the importance of having the internet up and running, and we try to show them the side of businesses that can fall if the internet is shut down. We try to show them how the economy can benefit from that. And so advocacy to me is a very important way of ensuring that the internet stays up and that government do not shut it down. Obviously, they will obviously shout about the national security issues, but bear with me if you present the side of the business and the side of what people gain from a national and a global perspective, then there are governments that would listen to you. But it is alarming for Africa. I would say, as an African who lives in a country where the internet was shut down. Without the internet, I can't be talking to you right now. It's quite critical for health and for everything we do. So the governments, more and more, what we saw in the last year coming to this is that governments are giving more, they're putting more attention to the internet. They're seeing it as a space where they can tap more, get more taxes, get more revenue. And so they are treating it more seriously than before.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay, good. This is Ale again, and thank you for this presentation. I want to just build on what Professor Nee said and your answer, and take you to in the slide. You're saying that you are working to mitigate. You are working to mitigate government trying to force people to use weak encryptions. And my question is, do you really understand the issue government are having with the encryptions? Because we're talking about we just spoke about shutdown. Okay, so government they decide to shut down for some reason, and one of the new things going on is that we want to promote strong encryptions, and we see government is looking to weaken this. So government has some concern there. So how can we address this concern? And also that this encryption things is not only does not constitute a threat only for government. It also is a threat or issue for network management. So if you are running network, okay, you have these kind of issues. You no longer know what is going on, and it makes it difficult to apply some of the policies. Okay, so in short,
hi Ellen. Thanks.
Yes.
Please let's wrap it up. We are out of time. Please just wrap it up so that we can give Israel a chance to answer.
Yeah, exactly. So in short, do we understand the issue government are having with encryptions, and how do we help them, okay, to not have more shutdown? Thank you.
You will bear with me that, Dr. Alain, you bear with me that all of us are trying to understand the issues government are having with encryption, and you're right that with encryption there are many opportunities, but equally there is a view that people have around it. So my thinking is that, this is from my own perspective, my thinking is that we need to work with governments more, collaborate with them more, explain to them that the encryption is there to support them, because one of the reasons why governments advance the encryption issue is that they want to ensure that there is national security, that the security breaches are stopped. And so if it's a concern for every national government, including the US government, including the Chinese government. So we need to explain to them that this is something that is going to help them. If encryption is there, there's more trust in the internet, there's more trust in the approach, and so we can't afford not to have something that is not bringing trust to the internet. So that's the only argument I'm bringing from a personal perspective.
Okay, we've got two more questions which I'll ask, and if you could please just give a brief answer and then the rest, and then we can wrap up the session. I've got a question from Loganaden, and they said, speaking of myself from Somalia, Somalia has now adopted a solution called NetSweeper, which decrypts internet traffic. How can we help countries like Somalia?
Well, I think if it is a government approach, we just need to work with the national government. Governments have sovereignty over their population, and the government is voted by the people, and the people decide on what they want to have. And so it's just negotiate with the government to ensure that these approach is they understand what they're doing and help them to adopt what is better.
Okay, last question from Dr. Adebowale. He says, do you have a comparison ratio of internet shutdown compared to other countries?
Yeah, that is why we have created this PERS platform to collect data to ensure that we can analyze. This analysis can help us know what is happening in Africa in comparison to Asia and Latin America. Our hope is that once we collect the data, we can publish it and all of us can draw lessons from it.
Okay, thank you so much, Israel. It has been quite an interesting session, an interactive one as well. So thank you to everybody that has posted their questions. Thank you to everyone again for participating, and I will hand over back to Magali.